Part 60. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 591. During the battle, Chi Chang'ai also discovered the flying Immortal shuttle. Needless to say, their target was also the purple cloud eagle. Chi Chang'ai ignored him, and continued to smash at the Zeun sculpture one after another, with the rumble, and the momentum in the starry sky was very huge. Thunder explosion sound. After a thunder explosion sound, his figure has changed position. If his eyesight is not good, he will think that he has teleported in space. In the spiritual world, space can be torn apart to realize space transfer. However, the space barriers in the immortal world are much stronger than those in the spiritual world. Even with the strength of Earth immortals, Chi Chang'ai found that it was still lacking. Between the electric light and flint, Chi Chang'ai turned the hammer and smashed it down. After a click, a purple cloud eagle made a shrill cry. Burnt black appeared on the wings, unable to maintain the balance of the body in flight. The other purple cloud eagle rushed towards Chi Chang'ai fiercely, and, in the dense sea of clouds, there was finally movement again. Because of the shrill screams, several more eagles flew out of it all at once. It is also a high-level prefecture, and the fierce light in his eyes can be turned into reality, and he takes the lead in rushing towards Chi Chang'ai. Fang Kaiubai and the three were dumbfounded, but they didn't expect to encounter a high-level prefecture again. What should I do now? Do you still want to attack? At this moment, Chi Chang'ai quickly fled away, obviously not wanting to collide with this high-level purple cloud sculpture, but the other party stared at Chi Chang'ai with an endless posture. This guy is in the early stage of the Earth Immortal. He dares to go to such a place to provoke the high-level star beasts of the Earth level, but it would be very good to be able to entangle the two middle-level purple cloud sculptures before. Although Lin Feng is extremely conceited, he can't. I do not admit that this cultivator has good courage and strength at the moment. The other purple cloud eagles all went to comfort the injured one, but the high-level death bit Chi Chang'ai, which made Chi Chang'ai a sigh of relief. If those purple cloud eagles went up together, his pressure would be even greater. Chi Chang'ai fled away, and used the hammer to retaliate. Lin Feng saw that he didn't really panic and fled, and was eager to compete with one of them. Don't wait, let's go together. Fang Kaiubai had been impatient with the wait, and he put out the saber and shouted, "Okay. That fellow deist, we are here to help you." As he said that, he rushed over. This posture is like helping people, but like coming to pray. Of course, Lin Feng and Mo Yanjiao cannot let him act alone, followed by other guards. Just at this moment, Chi Chang'ai led the Zeun sculpture to the vicinity of Guyao. Fang Kaiubai and the others had just rushed halfway, and the clouds and mist below suddenly surged and expanded rapidly. Purple cloud sculpture is covered. No, that cloud is weird, Lin Feng shouted. But Chi Chang'ai rushed into the clouds at this moment. The clouds violently churned, and thunder snakes danced and thundered from time to time, mixed with the angry cry of the purple cloud eagle. Lin Feng was a little dumbfounded at this moment, and seemed to realize that there was a trap, but this trap seemed to be specially prepared for Zeun eagle. Let's deal with the other purple cloud eagles. Okay, Fang Kaiubai told the truth that he was a little terrified of the cloud, so he turned around and bravely swung his sword at the other purple cloud eagles. Mo Yanjiao glanced curiously, but did not leave the big team and act privately. This side of the starry sky quickly turned upside down. When Guyao discovered the identities of those three people, he lowered his vigilance towards them a bit. It was true that he had heard a lot about the deeds of these three people, but there were not many who really did evil. Stance. According to the long lifespan of the monks in the immortal world, it is not an exaggeration to say that they are still in the juvenile stage. So Guyao and Chi Chang'ai spent most of their energy dealing with the high-level purple cloud eagle, and later found out that when the three took their guards to rob and kill other purple cloud eagles, they felt a little more favorable towards them. In turn, they competed with Guyao and the others for the high-end purple cloud sculpture. The two would most likely give up all the purple cloud sculptures and turn around and run away. The ability to swallow the ink jade is getting stronger and stronger, and the nebula in the starry sky can also be swallowed, which makes the fog it produces even more strange. As soon as this purple cloud sculpture flies into the fog will stain its wings and feathers, which is a great limitation. Due to its flying ability, the more the fog is contaminated, the more so there will be a situation where it flutters in one direction but cannot leave the range of the cloud and fog. Mou trapped the purple cloud eagle in the fog, Guyao and Chi Changjai, plus the black cat and cub, the three shamelessly beat up the purple cloud eagle. Although the defensive power of the high-level star beasts is extremely strong, they can't bear the strong corrosive power of the mist sprayed by the ink jade. After a long time, this purple cloud eagle will feel the danger. The tweet also changed from anger at the beginning to weakness and humiliation later. It can show its might in the starry sky and rely on it. But it is its extremely strong flying ability, but now the flying ability that it has always been proud of has been limited, and Diaosheng has never been so sad. Quack. The thunder hammer in Chi Changjai's hand flickered with lightning, as if a powerful attack was brewing. Looking at Xiun Eagle, he said, "Are you convinced?" Quack. When Ziyundio looked at the black cat and Guyao who were staring at him, he became even more desperate, his bark became weaker and weaker, and finally lowered his head. Chi Changjai put away the thunder light that was pounding the surface of the sky, and flew over to collect the purple cloud eagle. In fact, he and Guyao didn't quite understand why the purple cloud eagle screamed like a crow. The purple cloud eagle who had signed the contract became honest, and Guyao also directed Mou to remove the fog. The battle with the other purple cloud eagles outside was not as easy as they thought, but it had to be said that one piece covered more than half of it. The net of the starry sky has helped them a lot, otherwise the speed of the purple cloud sculpture alone would have made them choked up. Right now, that net covers most of the purple cloud sculpture, and keeps shrinking inward, and the purple cloud sculpture outside attacks. The net and the monk, the purple cloud eagle inside resisted desperately. The high-level leader looked anxious and pecked Chi Changjai with his sharp beak, asking him to help save his younger brother. Stop. Chi Changjai couldn't disregard the thoughts of the newly acquired mounts and stopped Fang Kaiubai and the others. The purple cloud eagle over there screamed even more brutally, but Fang Kaiubai couldn't understand what Guyao and the others were thinking. Guyao hurriedly added, "Do you want to die or live? The leaders of this group of purple cloud eagles have been subdued by us. As long as we stop, we can control them not to attack you." The three of Lin, Fang, and Mo almost stumbled and fell into the starry sky. Damn, they fought so hard, and others easily subdued the leader? That is only a prefecture-level high-level purple cloud eagle, they dream of it. But on second thought, if they help to subdue them and become their own mounts, it would be a beautiful thing to bring them back to Zhangzhou City, and it would definitely make many people envious and jealous. So Lin Zhou immediately bargained, "Help the three of us capture a purple cloud eagle each, and we'll stop." As you can see, it's not that we don't have the ability to kill them do. Lin Feng admired these wise choices of his own, and Xian Shihua was not wronged. Chi Changjai communicated with the newly received mount and replied, "Okay, we agree." The leader shouted and issued an order. Fang Kaiubai and the others stopped attacking when they saw Xiandio, and also withdrew their hands, but also to prevent others from revolting, so the sky net was not closed. Guyao and Chi Changjai didn't put their guard down either. Just as the two sides were on guard, Fang, Lin, and Mo successfully signed a contract with the three prefecture-level middle-level purple cloud eagles. The completion of this step was regarded as an agreement between the two parties. After gaining initial trust, Lin Feng's method was to put away the sky-covering net. At this time, the three of them also had time to carefully deal with the two cultivators on the opposite side. The more they looked, the more shocked they became. Both of them were in the early stage of Earth Immortal, but they subdued a high-level star beast, especially the strange fog they saw before. Extremely, they believed that if they could subdue the high-level purple cloud sculpture, the effect of the fog mass was definitely not small. Of course, when acknowledging the role of the fog group, they did not deny the strength of the two, just like they had the help of the middle-grade fairy artifact covering the Skynet, but they immediately subdued the purple cloud carving, so the three of them played to meet their ideas. Do what they want. Lin Feng flew out from their team, in Shijiang Zhongcheng Lin Feng, these two are Fang Kaiubai and Mo Yanjiao, also from Zhongcheng. I don't know where the two fellow Taoists came from. You're welcome. We also learned from the Jiangzhongchenj mission hall that there are purple cloud carvings here, Chi Changjai said lightly. Haha, it turns out that the two of you are also from Zhangzhong City. Are we not acquainted with each other? I said earlier that Zhangzhong City is the land of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Fang Kaiubai. You still don't admit it, Lin Fenglang said with a smile. Fang Kaiubai glared at the secretly. When did he say this? Obviously it's the self-righteousness of the surname Lin. Where, I'm not as good as the three famous names. I've been admiring it for a long time. In the next night, this is my Taoist companion Yao Gu. This relationship made Lin Feng and the others even more surprised, but the degree of acceptance was higher, and Mo Yanjiao did not have the temperament of a young lady, because her current enthusiasm was placed on the newly acquired mounts. The impression of the two of them is not bad. Guyao named the new Mount Jinyun because it has a small cluster of golden feathers on its head to distinguish it from other purple cloud sculptures. When flying at high speed, it is like a lightning bolt running through it. Guyao thinks that Jinyun and Qi are different. Chang Ye was a perfect match, so he carefully asked Lin Feng and the others about how to train mounts. Lin Feng and the others didn't hide this. They originally had the idea of making friends with them, so they knew everything. Besides, these things are not secrets in the fairyland. There are many monks and forces who tame star beasts, and there are also some in their respective families. Most of the elixir that cultivators take can be used by star beasts, and some elixir masters have developed elixir exclusively for star beasts, which can help star beasts to advance and improve their intelligence. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 592. In addition to the 4 purple cloud eagles that have been taken as mounts, there are still 5 remaining, and now they follow the leader's orders obediently. Guyao didn't care whether the guards who accompanied Lin Feng and the others had any comments, and put the remaining 5 into a specially purchased animal enclosure. This is similar to a pet bag, but it is more powerful and convenient. Carry. After feeding Jinyun the healing medicine on his body, Jinyun quickly recovered its beautiful appearance. Mo Yanjiao was attracted by the appearance of Ziyun's sculpture, and was very satisfied with this mount. Guyao thought about collecting more recipes for cultivating star beasts in the future to help Jinyun improve his strength. The 3 of Lin Feng were also doing the same thing. Guyao glanced at Mo Yanjiao unintentionally. The healing pill she fed to the mount came from his hand. She probably never imagined that she would make such a big pill in Zhangzhong City. The elixir master he was looking for was actually right in front of him. Guyao didn't want to reveal his identity for the time being, so he avoided it when feeding Jinyun medicinal pills. Jinyun, who had regained his heroic appearance after taking the medicine pill, finally had a better attitude towards Guyao. Although his intelligence was not high, he also knew that the fog that had the most lethality to him before was created by Zhichong beside Guyao. There is resentment in Guyao's stomach. Now, these 2-legged monsters are not too bad. It is rare for them to eat delicious meatballs. Following the current owner, will they have a steady stream of meatballs to eat in the future? When the 4 mounts returned to their best state and were about to leave on the mounts, a violent energy fluctuation suddenly came from the depths of the starry sky, and the group immediately stopped. This. Lin Tsuki said in surprise, won't they really get it right? There are really ruins to come to life. Qi Changjai's eyes also flashed with surprise, and he immediately communicated with Jin Yun and asked why he left his original residence with other Ziyun eagles. Jin Yun's answer was vague. They just instinctively sensed that the place where they lived all the year round was about to be destroyed, so they had to move. Let's go and have a look. Jin Yun takes us to a place where danger is detected. Qi Changjai pulled Gu Yao onto Jin Yun's back and turned to look at Lin Feng and the others. How about you? Haha, of course we will go together. Since such a good thing has happened, how can you give up if you don't go and see? Lin Feng said with a smile. Okay, let's go together. The Ziyun sculpture was big enough, and there was room for 2 people to sit on the back, so the 4 mounts brought 8 people and flew together in the direction of the waves from the depths of the starry sky. The backspace of Jin Yun is very spacious, and the Ziyun sculpture flies so fast and steady that it is almost imperceptible when sitting on the back, which is no worse than the feeling of staying in the Xianchuo. The most important point is that after giving orders to the mounts, there is no need for monks to control them. When encountering dangers that cannot be avoided, the mounts will also warn in advance. These are the biggest benefits. You must know that there are many dangers in the starry sky. When the monks control the Xianchuo to fly in it, they must not be careless. This way, the consciousness is always on high alert, which consumes a lot of monks. With mounts, especially powerful mounts with fast flying speed, these there is no more trouble. In view of such benefits, Gu Yao also felt that in the future, Jin Yun should be given more medicinal herbs to help him improve. At the same time, many monks in the starry sky sensed it. Like Lin Feng, they thought that the ruins in the depths may have appeared. At this time, they did not wait for a while, so they rushed to the depths, and there were many others who were walking with them. Star Beast, at this moment, where do the 2 sides care to fight? There is a rare period of peace. In Zhangzhou City, the city lord in the city lord's mansion suddenly opened his eyes and looked into the infinite depths of the starry sky. Those eyes seemed to be able to penetrate the space. Immediately, he summoned the big butler of the city lord's mansion, and after a few words, he strode away. After a few steps, he stepped out of the area of Zhangzhou City. After that, the big butler also organized a group of monks to chase in the direction where the city lord left. All other forces are like this. It seems that in a short period of time, the monks in Jiangzhongqing have to gather in the place where the energy fluctuations are generated. In Donglan City, after alchemist Rui broke through to become a fairy, Qiao Shuangfeng followed him in retreat and broke through. Not long ago, he ushered in his heavenly calamity. He was well prepared to survive this calamity. After recovering from the injury, he and alchemist Rui sensed the fluctuations from somewhere in the starry sky. Alchemy Rui stepped in front of City Lord Qiao in a few steps. This movement is not small, do you want to go take a look? Qiao Shuangfeng said without hesitation, go. Naturally, I will go. With brother Rui accompanying me, I have no worries. Alchemist Rui and Qiao Shuangfeng both announced to the public to retreat to consolidate their cultivation. With these 2 early-stage monks, even the 4 major families would not dare to make any small moves. They wished that City Lord Qiao would go into retreat, instead of taking the opportunity to talk to the 4 major families. Family swings the knife. However, they did not know that in the 2 retreated caves, there were no figures of them at all, far away from the starry sky of Donglan City. A Xianchuo appeared in the middle, and the people drinking beside Xianquan this time became alchemist Rui and city lord Qiao. The 4 assistants recruited to refine Yin-Yang Xiantian Pil were also above Xianchuo. They didn't know where the main destination of Master Heaton and Xiao Cheng, who were supposed to be in retreat, were going. Su Chen and Feng Rumei dealt with them calmly. Among the 4, the 2 of them were the least worried. It was only safer to leave Donglan City. Do small actions, but fortunately there are no dangers. After Li Hongyi decided that he couldn't get in touch with the family, he put it down. Zhou Donglan was the only one who was impatient. Alchemist Rui looked easy to talk, but it was Tianxian and Tian level alchemist. Stay, or go with him. Seeing that Li Hongyi chose to leave without hesitation, he gritted his teeth and followed. The requirement to follow is not to disclose their whereabouts to anyone, because at this moment, Alchemist Rui and City Lord Qiao should be in seclusion in Donglan City. Zhou Donglan didn't dare to send a message under the eyes of the two angels. He couldn't afford to offend him. Looking for Li Hongyi in private, Zhou Donglan asked, "Don't you want to know where Master He Dan and the others are taking us?" The reason why I asked Li Hongyi was because the other two were not in the same camp with him, not to mention that Chen Su was always targeting him, and it would be strange to ask him if he could get the truth. Li Hongyi looked at him strangely and said, "What we should know, there will always be a time to know. You have to know that being able to learn alchemy techniques with a heaven-level alchemist is an opportunity that an alchemist can't ask for." She believed even if she has contacted the family will tell her not to give up this great opportunity. But why can't you let other people know and you have to leave quietly?" Zhou Donglan was extremely depressed. Could it be that he was the only one worrying about it? Li Hongyi glanced at him, then returned to the book in his hand, and said lightly, "Senior does things, why do you need others?" In the end, Zhou Donglan could only be depressed by himself. Guyao and his party were the first to arrive at the place where the energy fluctuations were the most violent. When they saw the incomparably magnificent nebula world in front of them, Fang Qiubai and the others were all shocked. In front of such a magnificent scene, they seemed so insignificant. They can only watch from the periphery, and can't get close to the center, where large swaths of clouds are surging, and the closer they are, the more immortal energy. In the middle of the cloud, it seems that something is about to spew out. Lin Feng was pleasantly surprised. There must be a relic coming to the world. This time we really caught up with us. When all these movements have calmed down, that is, when the relic is really opened, we can go in. He only lost a large sum of immortal stones. Although he could make up for one or two with a head mount, he was still shy in his pocket. There might be countless immortal stones and immortal pills waiting for him to dig in this ruin. Mo Yanjao glanced back and said, "A large number of monks are coming from behind. This time the battle for the ruins will be very fierce, and our family should also send someone over." Fang Qiubai thought about it too. The family would definitely not miss such a good opportunity. He said to Guyao Qi Changjai carelessly, "Fellow Daoist Chang, fellow Daoist Yao, why don't you just join us in action?" Lin Feng wanted to cover his face. The three of them could get along well with Guyao and the others, but it didn't mean that the family they belonged to could accept Guyao and the others. If they accidentally revealed that they had 5 purple cloud carvings on their bodies, it is estimated that they would not be able to keep one of them. Don't look at the beauty of the three of them, but to stand out from the family's children to this stage, it also depends on the competition, because the family's resources cannot be shared equally on everyone's head. If you win, the resources you have are destined to be more than there are far more losers. Guyao smiled, "Thank you Fang Daiyu for your kindness, but at that time there may be many people and the situation is unpredictable, so the two of us can do it, and Fang Daiyu, you all have to take care." Lin Feng hurriedly spoke out, for fear that Fang Qiubai would say something impulsively, "Thank you, fellow Daoist Yao, and the two of you. We will meet again at Zhangzhong City when we come out of the ruins." "Okay," Guyao replied. This prelude took too long, because of course Guyao and the others knew that the restrictions on the hidden relics had never been loosened before, so no one had ever discovered that they were in the process of loosening the restrictions, and they could not stabilize in a while. Because of the loosening of the restrictions, a large amount of immortal energy leaked out from the ruins. Just where Guyao and the others were standing now, they felt that the immortal energy was much richer than other places. This immortal energy could be directly used for cultivation. There are already cultivators who have arrived, and each has a corner, but no one is stupid enough to use this immortal energy to cultivate now. More and more cultivators arrived, and many people recognized Lin Feng and the others, but Gu Yao and Qi Changjai were the two. Unfamiliar, but staying with Lin Feng and the others, could it be Lin Feng and the others? Soon thousands of cultivators gathered here, as well as star beasts that were comparable to each other, and they kept coming. The monks are in a pile, and the star beasts are also staying in an orderly manner, their eyes are also looking forward eagerly, and the star beasts also have a great need for energy. Another immortal shuttle flew over. Mo Yanjao looked back and flew out immediately. Needless to say, it was the Mo family who came here. After a while, Fang Kaiubai and Lin Feng also left and joined their respective families. From the situation, they knew that it would be very chaotic later. They could only be guaranteed by staying with family members. When they left, they all said, "You two are precious." After meeting with the family members, they didn't say much. They only said that Yi happened to meet them when they were traveling in the starry sky, so they went on the same road for a while. As for the newly collected mounts, they all collected the beasts after they came here. In the circle, there is no need to take it out to attract attention now. Gu Yao couldn't help but glanced at the void above. He keenly felt that there was a gaze swept over there. If he felt right, then the monk who was hiding there was extremely cultivated. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 593. Thinking back to Gu Yao, whoever is hidden in the void is not the pinnacle of the earth immortal, it is likely to be a celestial immortal. In the entire Zhangzhou city, there is only one celestial immortal, the city lord. It seems that the movement here is indeed not small, and the city lord is alarmed. He didn't know that there were still two immortals rushing here. Zhou Tong, who was hiding in the void, was slightly surprised. He didn't expect that a little earth immortal could discover his existence in the early stage, but he didn't pay much attention to it. Maybe he had some special ability, and his attention soon disappeared. Attracted by the two immortal breaths from the distance, I took a few steps towards it. After a little thought, I can understand where these two angels came from. Except for the two new breakthroughs in Donglan City, I don't think about it. Alchemist Rui and City Lord Qiao, who were rushing all the way, noticed that there was aura in front of them. They stopped in the starry sky, and their figure was revealed, as was the aura on the opposite side. It turned out to be Deist Zhou. Deist Zhou, are you safe? City Lord Qiao greeted Zhou Tong in a good mood. When he saw Zhou Tong before, he had to call his senior. Now he finally stepped into the same position as City Lord Zhou. The ranks of the angels, everyone is on an equal footing. Zhou Tong also felt strange in his heart, but he still clearly sensed the two consecutive heavenly immortal tribulations some time ago. Alchemist Rui went to Donglan City and he knew it as well, but when he saw Qiao Shuangfeng himself, he couldn't help but sigh, this old man, the boy, has finally become a fairy. Zhou guessed that it was fellow Deist Qiao and Alchemist Rui who were here, and I'm here to welcome you. I wonder if you two have any opinions on the relics in this world. Zhou Tong said while clasping his fists towards Alchemist Rui. Now Alchemist Rui, who has been promoted to Heavenly Immortal, has a different status and value than before, and deserves Zhou Tong's respect. Qiao Shuangfeng smiled and said, it's hard to talk about Gao Jian, this is Deist Zhou's territory, and it should be Deist Zhou who has already made up his mind. The two of you are coming and going, but you don't talk about the main topic. Donji Rui looked helpless on the side. Let him open this hole. I have read countless collections, and I have seen relevant records. It is said that tens of thousands of years ago an immortal fell here, presumably the ruins this time have something to do with him. Zhou Tong was not surprised. Everyone has been practicing for many years and knows a lot of things. Moreover, as he said, Alchemist Rui has a wide record of extensive knowledge, so it is normal to know this. Therefore, Zhou Tong said, it is very likely that this is the place where Jingyu Tianxian fell for tens of thousands of years. It is said that this person who was talented in the past, is very likely to grow into an immortal emperor. Unexpectedly, he was seriously injured in a battle. Died. This time we will join hands to explore. Haha, good, Qiao Shuangfeng replied. Alchemy Rui turned around and said to the monks who came with him, you can act on your own. When the ruins are closed, I will wait for you outside. Then, without waiting for the monks to reply, Master He Dan left directly with the city lord Zhou of Jiao City. Su Chen was secretly delighted for a while. It would be good for Dan Master Miao to let them act on their own, so that he could find a chance to meet with Guyao and the others. As for the fact that he could guess that they were also here before he contacted Guyao and Qi Changjai, isn't this nonsense? Instead, he was in Zhangzhou City and found that there were ruins here, so he had to rush over here. Su Chen didn't know that Guyao and the others were actually the first to arrive, because when the ruins appeared, they were so happy to be the closest to this place. This time, City Lord Zhou did not hide his figure anymore, and he appeared in front of the monks together with City Lord Qiao He Dan, which attracted a lot of discussion. For monks in Zhangzhoucheng on weekdays, City Lord Zhou rarely shows up once, but this time he actually came, so it can be seen that the ruins this time are not simple. Zhangzhongqing's aristocratic family and other forces were not too surprised to see City Lord Zhou coming, but they frequently turned their attention to Alchemist Rui and City Lord Qiao who appeared with him. Even if they couldn't sense the movement of Donglan City, then the news of Bian came early. I didn't expect that the two who had just been promoted to heavenly immortals would also come. This means that the number of opponents who compete with them for interests has increased, and they are still unable to compete. My heart is both envious and sour. Qiao Shuangfeng, how did this old boy become a fairy? The cultivators at the pinnacle of Earth Immortals who do not want to break through to become Heaven Immortals suddenly appear two people, but they are not themselves. He used to be on an equal footing, but now that he sees Qiao Shuangfeng, it is time to change his name to Senior. Guyao and Qi Changjai also looked at the three immortals just like the others. Sure enough, Master He and City Lord Qiao had both come, and not only did they come, but they also saw Xianchuo following behind. Xianchuo. After stopping, fly out of it. One of the cultivators was actually Su Chen, which was too surprising for them. They thought that leaving Su Chen alone in Donglan City would make him miss this opportunity. Unexpectedly, Donji Miao would bring them together, but City Lord Qiao did not bring anyone. If the other monks in Donglan City failed to come over, I wonder if the four families would regret offending City Lord Qiao. There were too many people, and Su Chen couldn't see Guyao and Qi Changjai for a while, so he secretly communicated with them. Seeing the communication, Guyao smiled. Especially Su Chen told them one thing, that is the origin of this ruin, which is likely to be the place where the tens of thousands of years of prospects have fallen. It's a pity that time is limited, and there is no way to investigate the life of this Jingyu Tianxian, otherwise it will deepen their understanding of the ruins. Guyao told Su Chen to be careful, since it was the place where heaven and man fell, then they only entered the early stage of Earth Immortals, and the risks they had to take would not be small. Su Chen quietly hid the messenger in his sleeve, with the same look of anticipation on his face as the other monks. Feng Rumei, who was standing with him, didn't even know that he was quietly contacting people. Not long after the three angels appeared, the surging of the clouds gradually stopped, and they began to yearn for the spread, revealing a hole. This hole presents a different scenery, and everyone can see the pavilions and pavilions inside. Fixie Waterfall, a wonderful picture scroll. Let's go first. Zhou Tong made an inviting gesture to Master Rui and City Lord Qiao. Okay. The three angels flew side by side towards the hole opened by the cloud. The closer they got, the more huge the hole appeared. At first, the other monks didn't dare to move, including the star beasts that came, because the breath of the gods was a deterrent to them, not to mention there were three breaths. When the three angels moved, the scene was like a pebble dropped by the calm lake, and became restless. Everyone jumped out with a hula, and rushed to the entrance of the cave, including those star beasts. I don't know who was plotted by other cultivators during the flight. There was chaos there, and the cultivator took the opportunity to slaughter a star beast, causing several star beasts to besiege him. However, when the cultivator who jumped into the hole first found that there were strong winds and tearing forces around him, he couldn't do anything to make a complaint, because he had to go all out, and soon other cultivators also discovered that something was wrong, and the chaos of the scene was improved. At that time, the three immortals had already disappeared from the entrance of the cave and entered the interior of the ruins. Immediately after the peak of the Earth Immortal and the late Earth Immortal, they all entered smoothly. More and more cultivators found that the higher the cultivation base, the easier and easier it was to enter, while the lower cultivation base was much more difficult, especially the immortals. Human immortals had to sacrifice immortal weapons to resist, but Earth immortals could resist with their fleshly bodies. Guyao and Chi Chang'ai entered the cave with the flow, and found that the tearing force was much smaller than they thought, but they found that the Earth Immortal who had the same cultivation as them had a hard time resisting. With such a posture, they are communicating at the same time. Could it be related to the strength of the monk's body? There are fewer monks in the immortal realm. Why? Because it is not too easy to go from a mortal immortal to a human immortal. You don't need to cultivate specially, the body will automatically absorb and digest the immortal energy, and it is natural to become a human immortal. Who would be willing to work hard to temper the body with such an easy thing? In comparison, the star beast on the other side is much easier. The body of the star beast is inherently tyrannical, otherwise it would not be able to traverse the starry sky. When Guyao and Chi Chang'ai flew to the entrance of the cave, Su Chen found them and secretly laughed in his heart. He didn't expect these two guys to come so early, and at the same time, he felt a lot more confident, and he didn't care about Zhou Donglin's provocation. In the eyes. As soon as the tearing force on their bodies disappeared, Guyao and Chi Chang'ai found that they had entered another world. This world is completely different from the picture scroll they saw before. The picture scroll is a beautiful fairyland, but the world they are in is very desolate. The two glanced at it in surprise, and then flew forward cautiously. Every cultivator who came in was disappointed to find such a scene, but quickly adjusted his mentality. The more this is, the more powerful the treasure hidden here may be, but it quickly dispersed in a swarm. At this time, everyone didn't have the heart to fight other monks' ideas, and it was important to find treasures quickly. Guyao and Chi Chang'ai slowed down after they left the entrance of the cave. They had to wait for Su Chen to come in, so that they could figure out where they were going, so as not to spread out. When I came here, I found that the contact with the outside world was isolated. It didn't take long for Su Chen's message to arrive. After learning the direction Guyao and Chi Chang'ai were flying, he pointed his team in the opposite direction. Sure enough, the next moment, Zhou Donglin jumped out. They fought against Su Chen, and as a result, they were walking in the direction of Guyao and the others. Su Chen rolled his eyes at Zhou Donglin, but he was overjoyed. Sure enough, the idiot had the best use. The direction he chose now has absolutely nothing to do with him. Everyone was on guard while flying. Su Chen took the opportunity to ask the two who had been following Dan Master Rui for advice. Do the two brothers know about Jingyu Tianxian's situation? I know a little bit, Qin surnamed alchemist said, and he didn't think it was necessary to hide it when he entered this place. Jingyu Tianxian was a cultivation genius tens of thousands of years ago. But perhaps because of this, he was jealous of many forces. Jingyu Tianxian was besieged by many monks. Despite this, Jingyu Tianxian still broke out of the siege, but was seriously injured, and finally disappeared in the fairyland. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 594. Another alchemist surnamed Wu said excitedly, "If this is the place where Jingyu Tianxian fell, it will be a great opportunity for us alchemists." Alchemy Qin didn't have time to stop it, but seeing that Alchemy Wu had already said it, he had to continue to explain. After tens of thousands of years, some things are not clear, but there is a saying that this Jingyu Tianxian is not only good at fighting, but also an alchemist. It is precisely because of this that he has been able to advance so quickly in hundreds of years, because he has no shortage of elixirs at all. But it's only said that we don't know what the truth is. Let's try our luck this time. Zhou Donglin and Li Hongyi were both excited. They had completely treated Jingyu Tianxian as an alchemist. Feng Rumei should be calmer. If there is an inheritance left, the chance they can get is very small. Su Chen's first reaction was to send the news out. If he really came across it, he would be responsible for dragging his feet and letting Gu Yao and Qi Changjai grab it. Of course he would have a share if he grabbed it, but these people had a heart for him. Uneven. Gu Yao took a look at the messenger, and he also showed joy, and told Qi Changjai the content of Su Chen's message. Qi Changjai, who originally held the attitude of "I'm lucky but not my life," immediately became positive, that is, to participate as much as possible in the inheritance of pills, because now Gu Yao lacks this the most. At this moment, they found that the star beasts that came in together were flying in one direction, and Qi Changjai hurriedly released the golden cloud. At first, Jin Yun's eyes were confused and he didn't know where he was, but when his eyes became clear, he also wanted to fly in that direction, and he told Qi Changjai that there was something there that was attracting them. Let's go, and have a look," Gu Yao comforted Jin Yun, who was unwilling to enter the beast enclosure. "If you get something that is helpful to you, I will definitely leave it to you." Jin Yun obediently got into the beast enclosure again. The two diverted their routes in mid-air, and they communicated with Su Chen at almost the same time. The information was the same, because Alchemist Qin and the others also discovered the actions of the star beast and felt that something was abnormal, so they decided to go there. At this time, even if it was Zhou Donglin's opinion was of little use and could not be objected to. The more you fly forward, the more star beasts. This scene is called Gu Yao's horror, because there are still star beasts coming continuously. If you want to ask whether there are more monks or more star beasts in the ruins, there is no doubt that it is the latter. Or, because the ruins are located in the depths of the starry sky, this is the base camp of the star beasts. The most surprising thing was a scene they saw. Several monks were chasing the star beast in front. It was clearly their mount. Now there is something that attracts the star beast, and the monks lost their control over them. Effect, unless the fight is a lose-lose. Gu Yao secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, they only released Jin Yun for a short time, and then quickly took it back, otherwise it would probably end in the same way. These star beasts also ignored the monks who were on their way with them. The goal was very clear. Even if a monk started to attack them, they would appear particularly violent. After flying for nearly 2 hours, I saw that the speed of the star beasts in front finally slowed down, as if they were about to reach their destination. The two also slowed down and took off into the sky. They saw a huge valley in front of them, and they couldn't see what was inside, but the star beasts that arrived first rushed to drill into it. "Something's wrong, I smell a very faint smell of blood." Gu Yao's eyebrows twitched, and he always felt that the valley in front was a fierce place, but the breath was covered by something, so he couldn't sense it clearly. The monks who came with them also stood in the air to watch, and the star beasts flew into the valley, but they did not come out, which surprised those who saw it. Either there are treasures that are very tempting to star beasts, or it is a trap specially designed for star beasts to lure them in. It is said that there are also treasures of heaven and earth specifically for star beasts in the fairy world, and star beasts can give birth to spirits after swallowing them. Wisdom, embark on another path of practice. By the way, I remember that Jingyu Tianxian had a star beast next to him. He was able to fight back from the siege of many immortals, and the star beast around him seemed to be of great help. Could this scene be caused by the star beast? Out, someone questioned. Different from the spiritual world, the lifespan above nascent soul is measured in thousands of years. In the immortal world, the lifespan of immortals is always measured in tens of thousands of years. It is very common to live for tens of thousands of years, so after tens of thousands of years, right? The young family and the forces are not very far away, and some monks from the aristocratic families in Jiangzhongqing have also heard about the situation about Jingyu. But there are only rumors about whether Jingyu is an elixir master or not, and each has its own opinion. After entering the ruins, it may be related to Jingyu Tianxian, it is no longer a secret, and it is spread among the monks. Guyao and Qi Changjai looked over there and saw that Fang Kaiubai was among them. This fellow blinked at them, for fear that others would not know they knew each other. Fortunately, the Fang family was not paying attention to him. In the spooky valley ahead, Fang Kaiubai wasn't really interested in the excitement of star beasts. To be honest, he was a little disappointed when he came in and saw the desolate scene. He came here to dig treasures to earn immortal stones. When he was bored, he saw Guyao and Qi Changjai. Fang Kaiubai was not so bored anymore. Someone asked, which kind of star beast is around Jingyu Tianxian? Has he given birth to spiritual wisdom? It's the first Tianma, and that Tianma has the ability to travel through space. The reason why he was besieged back then was because those angels used immortal weapons such as forbidden space to block the space, otherwise they wanted to leave Jingyu behind. Heavenly immortal, it should be a very difficult thing. The more I say that, the more I believe that Jingyu Tianxian has something good in them that makes them look at him. Otherwise, why is it so exciting? I don't know what the good thing is. By the way, without City Lord Zhou and the others, where did they go? Guyao and Qi Changjai were also curious. After entering, they did not find any traces of the two city masters and Master Hedan. It is very likely that they knew the inside story better. At this time, Su Chen, who was in the other direction, also blinked at Guyao. Guyao couldn't help sweating. The valley seemed like a black hole, and I don't know how many star beasts were swallowed up, and they are still going on and on. Finally, a cultivator couldn't hold back and flew into the valley, but halfway through the flight, he encountered a protective shield and was ejected, but the star beast was not affected at all, that is to say, this valley can only enter the star beast. But not the monks. The monk who was bounced out was not convinced, took out the fairy weapon and started attacking the protective shield, and began to call friends to shoot together. However, the more attacked, the stronger the rebound of the shield, it seems that the stronger it is. Suddenly, Guyao felt a shudder in his heart, dragged Qi Changjai and flew out, shouting, "Get out of here!" Seeing the situation, Su Chen rushed out without hesitation. He saw Guyao's face, so he said, "Leave if you don't want to die." Fang Kaiubai, Lin Feng, and Mo Yanjiao trusted Guyao and Qi Changjai for no reason. They also called on the clansmen and took the lead in flying out. Although the patriarchs of the three clans were suspicious of this, the situation in the valley in front of them felt too much. It was weird, so I ordered, the juniors withdraw first and leave this area. The late Earth Immortal and the Earth Immortal Peak stayed here and continued to watch. The younger generation did not dare to fly out against the order. This situation also motivated some cultivators. Although the treasures are important, they have no lives, and the treasures have no chance to meet. Some monks didn't give up, and they didn't see that some of the clan forces still retained some masters. They wanted to lure other monks away and monopolize the benefits of the valley. Guyao and Qi Changjai returned to see that half of the people were still there, and they were not in the mood to continue to persuade them to say anything. Instead, they kept increasing their speed. Su Chen would follow them. They didn't have to worry about it. It didn't take long for a terrifying coercion came from behind, rolling all the way, and in an instant, it seemed that the entire space was crushed and fell into endless darkness. The monks who stayed there, some people he couldn't control his body and fell, and he vomited blood in the process of falling. The monks in the late stage of the Earth Immortal and the peak of the Earth Immortal were also caught off guard. They were so excited by the terrifying coercion that they spat out a mouthful of blood and quickly retreated. At the same time, they said in horror, "What is this? Come stronger." Could it be that those star beasts ran in to provide energy for the things inside? As the coercion spread, a strong smell of blood was also hurriedly dissipated, and the true face of the valley was no longer a secret. Guyao and Chi-Chang-Ai retreated to a relatively safe place. Then they turned around and looked back. They saw blood in the valley, and the pressure was still spreading outward. Some of the monks lying on the ground outside the valley lost their breath. Some were squirming out, but every time they squirmed, blood gushed out. These cultivators looked desperate at the end. They didn't listen to the cultivator who first sounded the alarm and withdrew, and ended up leaving their lives here. Guyao and Chi-Chang-Ai were not in the mood to sympathize with these cultivators who lost their lives. The creatures in the valley were the most terrifying beings. Before they showed up, they made such a big move. In the red light that filled the sky, a figure gradually emerged, and someone suddenly exclaimed, "Pegasus! That's Pegasus! It's really Jingyu Tianxian's Pegasus! This Pegasus isn't dead yet." However, at this moment, Tianma's eyes were bloodshot, which was completely different from his pure and vigorous body, and a pair of equally white and flawless wings unfolded. From his body, people could only feel the endless hostility and killing intent. As soon as Tianma moved, he suddenly disappeared in place, and the next moment he appeared in front of several monks. He opened his mouth to vomit blood and a few wind blades with a space breath, and in the blink of an eye, he killed the few monks who had no time to react and escape. Hurry away, the late Earth Immortal and the Earth Immortal peak cultivators were shocked, and while flying to Tianma to intercept, they shouted, "This Tianma's strength is above the Tianma level, you can't deal with it, go back." With a flap of Tianma's wings, he swept away several cultivators from the peak of the Earth Immortal who wanted to get close, and with a pout of his hoof, a late Earth Immortal cultivator was kicked to the point of vomiting blood and flew out. At this moment, three figures rushed from the horizon, and in the blink of an eye stopped Tianma's attack on the other monks. Three angels came. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 595. The three heavenly immortals checked the situation here from a distance through their divine senses. They never expected to see the scene where Jingyu Tianxian mounts a celestial horse to resurrect. At the same time, they wondered if their judgment was wrong. The core of the entire ruin is here. On the horse. Whether it was or not, they had to stop Pegasus, otherwise the monks who entered the ruins would not be enough for Pegasus to kill. Therefore, when the three arrived, they surrounded Tianma in a triangle shape and attacked Tianma. Immortal weapons whistled and immortal energy was vertical and horizontal. In addition, Tianma's strength was extraordinary. The battle was extremely fierce. Guyao and Chi-Chang-Ai were outside the fighting range, and they were shocked to see the battle ahead. Even if Chi-Chang-Ai could leapfrog the battle, confidently facing the late Earth Immortal monks, they would have the power to protect themselves, but the battle at the heavenly immortal level was indeed not something they could do. "I can handle it. That is, the immortal realm space is solid enough, otherwise, it will be shattered in the spirit realm." But the two of them still have the eyesight to see that the three angels are a little bit struggling to get to the heavenly horse. The angels have the help of immortals and other auxiliary items. However, two of them have just become angels. Among them, Alchemist Rui is still not good at fighting. And Tianma seems to have infinite power, more and more fierce, especially the space method that is elusive, and it is quite a headache for the three angels to deal with. Zotong sent a message, the monks from the late stage of the Earth Immortal and the peak of the Earth Immortal came to help. If the Tianma is not removed, the monks who come in will not be able to escape the pursuit of the Tianma. Okay, let's help the three seniors. The problems that Gu Yao and Qi Changjai could see, those in the late stage of the Earth Immortals and the peak of the Earth Immortals could also be seen. If the three heavenly immortals couldn't support it, it would be their turn to wait for the unlucky ones. And it seems that this Tianma is very crucial to exploring the entire ruins, and they will take a shot at this time and finally get a piece of the pie. Hurrah! More than a dozen Earth Immortal Masters jumped out from the monks' group, and controlled their respective immortal weapons to join the attack on Tianma, which finally relieved the pressure of the three immortals, and Zhou City Lord had time to create a set of immortal formations. This immortal formation has a great effect on imprisoning the space. Once the space is blocked, the combat effectiveness of Tianma will be greatly reduced. Seeing this posture, the other monks even stepped up their attacks, so that City Lord Zhou could more calmly set up the immortal array. Look there, someone is sneaking into the valley. Some of the monks onlookers exclaimed. After being reminded by this sound, many people looked towards the valley and saw several monks quietly approaching the valley. When they found that their actions were exposed by others, they did not hide their actions. Swept toward the valley at great speed. This time, there was no protective shield to stop them in the valley, and the monks got into the valley smoothly. Some people think that Jingyu Tianxian must have made important arrangements in the valley. Taking advantage of the fact that Tianma's attention is being restrained by those immortals, they may find good treasures when they go in. This kind of impetuous thought cannot be suppressed, so implemented into action. After these few people, dozens of monks rushed to fly into the valley. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai didn't move, and Su Chen didn't move either. Even if there was a treasure inside, he felt that he couldn't grab it with his own strength. It must be a piece of cannon fodder when he rushed in. Yes, he is still a human immortal now, Gu Yao all Earth Immortals, he is still a human immortal. Zhou Donglin was thinking about Jingyu Tianxian's alchemy inheritance, but when he saw that the others did not move, he had to suppress his thoughts, because he knew that his combat effectiveness was very weak, and he usually directed his side to protect him when encountering such things. People rushed forward, but this time they couldn't bring anyone. Gu Yao said, I always feel that the valley is not so simple. As for the three immortals who hit the sky again, they knew exactly what was going on below, but no one was free to deal with them, because even they couldn't understand the situation in the valley, and these monks were willing to be Pathfinder stones. Yes, there is really something, and they can't bring this relic. Gu Yao's voice didn't fall for a long time when the monk who was about to fly into the valley suddenly stabilized his body, his eyes showed shock, and then he immediately turned around and flew out desperately. At this moment, there was a scream in the valley. The sound rang, and some of the screams stopped abruptly in the middle of the sound, and the monks who heard the onlookers trembled. Bleeding people quickly jumped out of the valley, and it was clear that it was the monk who ran into the valley at first, but at this moment, they rushed towards the nearest monk like crazy and launched a ferocious attack. A monk who ran slowly was hollowed out by the man's paw, and watched his body fall in disbelief. The last consciousness was that the man's eyes were scarlet, just like a beast with no intelligence. All this happened so fast that people couldn't react at all. In the blink of an eye, several monks died in the hands of the blood people. Seeing that these blood people were still flying towards the place where the monks gathered, some monks took the lead and shouted, "These guys have lost their sanity, let's attack together." A few people flew out from the back. It was the same as the previous situation. Everyone was not stupid. If you don't make a move now, these people will also attack them. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai also joined the battle, but the battle ended soon. After all, the monks who entered the valley were a minority, and some of them seemed to have died before they came out of the valley. But during the battle, I also found a situation, that is, the strength of these people has risen by at least a small step. When this situation was exposed, many monks made a gasp, and what was there in the valley that could make the monks in such a situation? A small step up in a short period of time. This situation not only failed to stop the cultivator's idea of exploration, but made it even more eager to move. It sometimes takes thousands of years or even longer to improve a small step. Maybe there is a way to maintain a clear sense of reason? Or what kind of treasure is there, and there may be a way to make up for its shortcomings. But at this moment, Zhou City Lord's urgent voice sounded above the ruins, "Run, Tianma is about to explode, the immortal formation can't support it, run." When Qi Changjai heard this voice, he didn't turn his head to look at the actual situation. He grabbed Gu Yao and rushed out. Both of them believed that the three angels would never scare the monk for no reason, and there was also a violent smell in the air. Factor. Fortunately, because Su Chen knew that the strength of his immortals could not play a big role, he stayed outside and did not run in to participate in the battle. He could see clearly, but because he saw clearly, his wide eyes were full of horror. Then turned and ran away, shouting, "What are you waiting for? It's important to escape." Zhou Donglin also didn't care about being competitive, or taking advantage of this time to spray Su Chen, a timid ghost who was afraid of death. They also turned around and followed Su Chen without hesitation, and ran as fast as they could. The fluctuation of the immortal qi expanding and contracting behind him has already hit, and a strong palpitation hit his heart. Qi Changjai didn't care to expose the existence of the purple cloud carving. When he released it, he took Gu Yao up and gave Jin Yun an order, "Fly out at full speed." Jin Yun's sense of crisis was no worse than theirs, so he flew as fast as he could without Qi Changjai's orders. Jin Yun quickly caught up with Su Chen and the others who were running ahead. Gu Yao saw him and shouted, "Hurry up and grab the claws of the star beast, hurry up." Hearing the sound, he saw the purple cloud eagle whistling above his head. Su Chen did as Gu Yao said without thinking. A whip flew out of his hand and quickly wrapped around Jin Yun's claws. Qi Changjai was in control, and Jin Yun Hui slapped it subconsciously. At a critical juncture, the instinct for survival surpassed others, so Zhou Donglin and Feng Rumei also followed suit, using various means to tie themselves to the claws of Xiandio, not even a breath of time, and Jin Yun's speed did not slow down. With the monks on the back and the claws flying over the heads of many monks, they flew away with a bang like a lightning shuttle. Boom boom boom. The explosion swept the entire ruins, and no matter where the monks stayed, they couldn't escape the self-destruction. The cultivator who was close vomited blood and died on the spot, and the seriously injured cultivator didn't dare to stop to heal, but still fled out desperately, a little further away from the blasting center, and a little further away. Jin Yun was also almost thrown away by the huge air wave generated by the blast. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai, who were on their backs, were less affected. The few people hanging on their claws were uncomfortable. They were almost all wounded honorably. Su Chen was so angry that he scolded, "What the hell, he wouldn't come if he knew," but he vomited blood and sipped medicine pills. When the speed of Jin Yun came down, Su Chen and the others had no image to speak of. The immortal energy in their bodies was used to support the defensive cover behind them, so the front was open and their hair was messed up by the strong wind. After regaining his freedom, Su Chen sat on the ground, replenished the medicinal herbs, and filled a large pot of immortal spring water. The blood oozing out of his mouth didn't even bother to wipe. The immortal energy in his body was almost after all the consumption. The legs are soft and the hands are soft. The other people are in similar situations, but they are all fortunate to have escaped this catastrophe. It is estimated that there will be no 1 in 10 for this trip to the ruins. The situation of Gu Yao and Qi Changjai was slightly better. They stood in the air and looked at it. Even if the three immortals were close to the center of the self-destruction, they could still avoid it with their strength, so they could see that the three were also there. Observe the situation from the air. The situation in the ruins is not very good. The strength of the Pegasus is almost at the high level of the sky, so the destructive power generated by the self-destruction is extremely large, and the space in the ruins begins to become unstable. Have you rested? We have to look back again. The ruins are about to collapse. Take advantage of this last moment to see what is in the ruins, Gu Yao said to Su Chen, who was still slumped on the ground. Feng Rumei and the others looked at Gu Yao and Qi Changjai in surprise, and then turned to Su Chen. In fact, Gu Yao asked him on the road. They grabbed the claws of the purple cloud eagle and saved them. Looking back now, if they were strangers, would they be so kind to pull them? They were not the only ones who escaped. So I know it, but I haven't revealed it before. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 596. Su Chen quickly got up from the ground, ignoring the embarrassment of his image, and scolded angrily, "You two bastards, you don't know how to take care of me, an old man, you sit on your back and let me hang below and suffer, hurry up. Make room for me." Then he rolled his eyes again, "Look at how you have been living pretty casually these days, this is the purple cloud sculpture, right? Didn't you prepare one for me?" Feng Rumei and the others showed such expressions, they knew each other, and they were very close, but Su Chen, a person immortal, called himself an old man in front of two earth immortals, how strange it sounded. Qi Changjai snorted coldly, "Don't hurry, this space is about to collapse." "It's here, it's here, it's here," Su Chen rolled his eyes and replied. Gu Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and asked Mou to pull Su Chen, and at the same time transmitted a voice to him, "Don't worry, there is a purple cloud carving in the predecessor." Hearing this, Su Chen grinned with joy, and immediately jumped onto Xiandao's back. Gu Yao now looked at Feng Rumei and the others. Zhou Donglin and Li Hongyi wanted to follow, but they knew that these two had no relationship with them, so why did they bring them along? Feng Rumei waved her hands very knowingly and said, "You guys go, we stay here to adjust our breath, we may be going out later, so be careful." "Be careful," too. Gu Yao rushed to them and clasped his fists, and ordered Qi Changjai. Jin Yun flapped his wings again and flew into the sky, and soon turned into a black spot in their sight. Zhou Donglin turned to look at Feng Rumei. "Who are they? What is their relationship with Chen Su?" Li Hongyi was also very curious, and vaguely guessed the identities of the two people, but the cultivation level of one of them did not match, but this did not mean that he recognized the wrong person. The robbery is unbelievable to others, but didn't Qi Changjai come over like this? Feng Rumei had never seen Gu Yao and Qi Changjai, but based on their close relationship with Su Chen, she had already guessed their identities. She felt that Captain Leng had a unique vision, not to mention Su Chen, Gu Yao, and Qi Changjai. People, sooner or later soar into the sky. For Zhou Donglin's questioning, she smiled, "Maybe it's a friend." It's not surprising that fellow Daoist Chen has some close friends. Zhou Donglin snorted with his nose, and knew that Feng Rumei and Chen Su were in the same group, so he wouldn't tell the truth, when he really couldn't guess who the two were. You must know that they have all been on the wanted list of Donglin City, and there is no cover up here, no one can recognize them. This guy Chen Su is really with them. He has long suspected that even the name Chen Su is fake, but now that this guy has a backer, and he doesn't take him seriously, even if he recognizes it, those two guys are the ones the Zhang family and the other three families want to take, but they can't do anything with their strength. But he still said unwillingly, "Humph, if they return to Donglin City, they will definitely have no good fruit to eat." Li Hongyi said angrily, "Do you think they don't know? Will they take the initiative to run back to Donglin City and throw themselves in the net?" Although Li Hongyi belonged to the Li family, he had no sympathy for Zhang Das Hao. He deserved to die under the hands of these two people. He took up so many cultivation resources, and even 2 cultivators who had just ascended for a few years. They couldn't beat them, and they died at their hands, disgracing the Donglanchinj family. Guyao asked Su Chen to continue adjusting his breath. This guy is still empty. He and Qi Changjai stood on the back of Jin Yun and paid attention to the situation ahead. If something went wrong, they would immediately turn around and leave. The 3 angels above also noticed their actions and took a few more glances. Alchemist Rui saw Chen Su, but he didn't stay with the others. Instead, he had a good relationship with the 2 of them, but he didn't care too much. He still likes Chen Su very much. If there is any danger in the future, the most he can do is to pull Chen Su. The first time City Lord Zhou noticed that Guyao and Qi Changjai didn't pay much attention. Who would have thought that he would pay attention to the second time, and the same thoughts as the 3 immortals came back. He couldn't help laughing and said, "The 3 little guys below are quite clever, their mounts, wouldn't their elders subdue them for them?" After all, an early Earth immortal, a high-level Earth level, the gap in between is a bit big. If the strength is not strong enough to reluctantly subdue, it is easy to be attacked by the Star Beast, but now the Star Beast can return despite the danger, which is enough to show that the subdued person can completely control its Star Beast, so there is this guess. City Lord Chiao also glanced at it and said, "I'm afraid it might not be possible." Fellow Daoist Zhou may have misunderstood this time. Zhou Tong raised his eyebrows and didn't answer. Before he grew up, the Earth Immortal early stage had not yet caught his eye. They quickly returned to the blasting center. There was a mess, and the entire valley was completely flattened, revealing the truth hidden in the valley. There was a huge immortal formation and black blood stains, but most of the immortal formation had been destroyed and could not be restored. The previous pattern. Zhou Tong and the others are a bit regretful. After all, they also saw that the people in the valley soared by a small order in a short period of time, which may be related to this strange formation. The damaged foundation stone of the formation also exposed the underground space hidden under it, and Zhou Tong and the others flew in without explanation. Guyao and the others came a step behind, and they saw what they should see. They flew down from Jin Yun's back and let Jin Yun guard outside first, and report if anyone came over. They were not in a hurry to go to the underground space, but searched on it. At this moment, entering the underground space is no match for the 3 angels. It would be good for them to pick up some leaks. Although Qi Changjai still has great expectations for the possible inheritance of the alchemy technique, he knows that he will not be defeated, and he will not put himself and Guyao in danger. Right now, there is a real inheritance, and there is Alchemist Rui, and it is not their turn to take action. On the contrary, the chaotic scene before can be fished in troubled waters, but unfortunately the valley was a fierce place at that time. Su Chen was very distressed when he saw the huge formation base being destroyed. These formation foundation stones are all excellent refining materials, otherwise they would not be able to support such an immortal formation. Looking at this immortal formation, it is at least a heaven-level high-level immortal formation. Who is this heavenly fairy called Jingyu, who is a heavenly fairy who has made so many things? Guyao walked somewhere and waved away the gravel and dust on the ground, revealing a black ball below. Su Chen turned his head and saw the scene, hurried over and exclaimed, "This is not a big deal. Why didn't I find out sooner?" Guyao laughed. He swept over with his divine sense, and found that there was a foreign object underneath, and then turned it out. "Why don't the seniors take it?" Su Chen just talked about it. He knew that his luck was not as good as Guyao's. He didn't look away from Guyao's side. He was still at this stage. Guyao had already advanced, and luck could not stop him. "It's better for you to take it, something might go wrong when it gets to me." Guyao laughed, stretched out his hand to take the black ball into his hand, and suddenly frowned. Su Chen quickly transmitted a voice, "Found something good." Qi Changjai came over and saw the black ball with a surprised look. He and Guyao glanced at each other. "That's right, that's it, They already have a piece in their hands. Peace. Guyao's voice transmission told Su Chen the truth, not that he found a good thing, but that there was already a piece of this thing, but he couldn't figure out what it was. Anyway, put it away and talk about it. Su Chen intuition that this thing has a lot of origin, and it also uses sound transmission. Of course, Guyao didn't object. He turned his hand into the space and placed it with the black ball he got last time. Maybe one day he could reveal the true face of this thing. The space oscillates more and more frequently. The three of them glanced at the underground space. It was too late. Chi Changjai said decisively, "Go. If you don't go, you will fall into it together." The three quickly jumped on Jin Yun's back. Jin Yun had been waiting anxiously, and if it wasn't for the master of Chi Changjai, he would have run away. Chi Changjai stood on Jin Yun's head and opened the way in front of them. At this time, the space of the ruins cracked inch by inch in front of them. Like a spider web, it quickly scattered around, and there was a storm in the wind of the ruins, as if the end was coming. Guyao raised his head and looked up at the sky. His soul power was running fast, calculating their way out. As soon as he pointed out to Chi Changjai where the space was weak, Chi Changjai waved a sword, and Jin Yun plunged into it. Su Chen sat cross-legged on Jin Yun's back. He couldn't do anything at this time. All he could do was not to cause trouble and maintain confidence in Guyao and Chi Changjai. Looking forward, some monks are flying out as desperately as they do. The space in the ruins is definitely not as stable as the fairyland. As long as the space in the fairyland is not fragmented, it can always be supported for a while. Immortals are above, but looking at their actions, they are not as calm as Guyao and Chi Changjai. Looking back, the valley where I stayed before is now a fierce beast with a huge mouth. This huge mouth is a bottomless black hole, which can swallow anything and life into it, drag it into the abyss, and in the abyss. Outside, the relic space was like broken glass. The fragments began to fall apart, and the detached fragments were swallowed by the black hole in a blink of an eye. 3 light clusters emerged from the black hole, and Su Chen knew at a glance that apart from the 3 angels who entered the underground space, who else could be, he didn't know what good things the 3 of them got in the underground space. He looked leisurely, but Guyao and Chi Changjai's movements quickened, because the heart-pounding force behind them was getting closer and closer. Guyao looked at a node in front of him and said, "It's there, from there you can return to the starry sky outside." With a click, a purple sword light fell on the position pointed by Guyao, and the golden cloud jumped with a click. "Go in." With a boom, the entire relic space completely collapsed, and countless space fragments swept toward the black space in the center. The whole was swept away, and a strong space storm was generated outside, rolling the fragments into long dragons. But at this moment, Su Chen saw a dark light flying towards them with his sharp eyes. He just called out to be careful, and the black light collided with Guyao. Chi Changjai and Su Chen were looking at Guyao at the same time. Running there, Guyao stared at the wound on his hand in a daze. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 597. There was a wound on Guyao's hand, but it healed in a blink of an eye. When Chi Changjai and Su Chen came over, they couldn't see the difference. "What's going on?" Chi Changjai asked worriedly. Guyao shook his head. "Leave here first. I'm fine, don't worry, it's fine." At this time, the golden cloud had already flown out of the relic area and was still flying at full speed. The farther away from this place the better, because the collapse of the relic space was bound to cause a violent storm in the starry sky. At the back, the resistance of the 3 immortals is much stronger. They stood in the starry sky and looked at the gradually disappearing relic space below. Alchemist Rui said reluctantly, "That thing ran away by itself? Not enough." Master Hedan was furious. They found a treasure that was suspected to be an alchemy transmission in the underground space. However, before Dan Master Miao could capture it, It flew off under their noses. They lost it after chasing it all the way. Traces. City Lord Chiao comforted, look again, maybe it will be hidden in this starry sky. But Jingyu is just a fairy, and his alchemy inheritance may not be able to beat you, brother Rui. That means there is no need to look at this inheritance too heavy. Zhou Tong smiled and said, young deist Chiao doesn't know, although there are few outsiders, but it is said that this Jingyu Tianxian has obtained a very good inheritance of alchemy techniques, but Jingyu Eshan Immortal Dao died too early. If he was given time to digest these inheritance, the current pattern of the alchemy world in the immortal world may be another scene. Alchemist Rui frowned and said, sometimes rumors can't be completely believed. No matter what, Jingyu Tianxian is dead. Anyway, maybe this inheritance is because of Rui and I can't force it. Having said that, Alchemist Rui still searched in this starry sky for a while, including the cultivators who came out at the end, who was also observed secretly by Alchemist Rui, but nothing was gained. In the end, he had to talk to himself. The people brought together and said goodbye to City Lord Zhou. City Lord Chiao. He will return to Piaoxiu Immortal Palace next, and he has been out for a long time. Su Chen also returned to the immortal shuttle that belonged to Alchemist Rui. It would be beneficial to act together with Gu Yao and the others, but going to the Snow Immortal Palace was not entirely useless. Now that he had this opportunity, he still had to seize it. Su Chen was also very happy when he left, because he brought a purple cloud eagle with him, which was still at the prefecture level and could not be conquered by himself. Well, Gu Yao and Qi Changjai still miss him. Happy Su Chen even smiled at Zhou Donglin's provocation, but instead made Zhou Donglin laugh all over his body, wondering if this guy was going to play tricks again. Gu Yao and Qi Changjai followed the flow and boarded a spaceship returning to Jiangzhongqing, but on the way back, everyone was in a low mood. There were so many monks who came with them, and many died in the ruins, but the ruins were not like everyone else. He thought that there were many treasures of immortal grass, and so many people died, but in the end, they found that they didn't get any benefits, and they were busy in vain. I don't think so. I didn't see that the three immortals stayed until the end. Maybe they have already obtained the most important things in the ruins. Yes, I also think so, but the original idea of drinking some soup along with it can't be realized. Originally, if the masters ate meat, they could always drink some soup, but who would have thought that the ruins were not only desolate, but also created a heaven-level high-level horse that almost wiped out everyone. Small life is fine. When they were on their way back, several clan elders from Donglin City rushed over with their clansmen, but the ruins were all destroyed. What's the use of them coming at this time? Even if they died 8 or 9 out of 10, they couldn't make them happy. Get up, because they also firmly believe that the treasure has fallen into the hands of the three angels. If they are there, maybe they can grab a share too. This Jiao Shuangfeng, as soon as he was promoted to Heavenly Immortal, he became complacent, and he didn't even say hello, because he just wanted to swallow the benefits of the ruins. Yeah, I don't even think that without our family, Jiao Shuangfeng could have what he is today. It wasn't because of these aristocratic families that Jiao Shuangfeng could get so many cultivation resources for him to cultivate and advance. In their opinion, Jiao Shuangfeng is ungrateful. They completely regarded Donglin City as their own private land, forgetting that this immortal world is a place where the weak and the strong eat the strong. Whether it is City Lord Jiao or Ascension Cultivator, they all belong to one type of person, that is, foreign invaders. The Zhang family elder asked the Zhang family, I heard that the 2 murderers who escaped from our Donglin City also came to the ruins this time. Where are they? The person who replied cautiously said, someone saw it, and they boarded the spaceship of Xing Chen Trading Company. Damn bastard, the elder Zhang family scolded angrily. If they were on the boundary of Donglin City, they could still ask questions, but the strength behind the star firm is not comparable to their families send someone into Zhangzhou City, To keep an eye on the people for this elder, and if we don't solve them, everyone thinks that our Zhang family is easy to bully. Yes, elder, this subordinate will make arrangements. Guyao and Qi Changjai, who were on the spaceship, also discovered the long-arrived Donglan City family. While gloating at the misfortune, they were also glad that they gave up Jinyun and took the spaceship of Xin Chen Trading Company. They also heard about it on the spaceship. Having learned a lot about this firm's background, at least those families in Donglan City did not dare to blatantly move the spaceship of the star firm. Fang Kaiubai told Guyao and the others, there was once a family member who didn't have long eyes. He thought he could be proud of himself and wanted to hunt down the monks who had already boarded the spaceship, ignoring the warnings of the spaceship guards. As a result, within a few days, the monks killed them. Go to the boundary of that family and uproot that family. My father often knocks me on this kind of thing, reminding me not to be too arrogant when walking outside, and being too arrogant is such a situation that pits the entire family into a ditch. Fang, Lin, and Mo also left their families behind and boarded the spaceship just like Guyao and Qi Changjai. Guyao laughed. It turned out that the scene he and Qi Changjai saw at the port when they came to Zhangzhou City was still somewhat restrained. If there was no family restraint, what kind of arrogance would it be? But it has to be said that it is very reasonable. Just like in the spiritual world, some people look like ordinary people, and they may be experts who travel abroad to experience the world. Who said that there is no such situation in the fairy world? Lin Tsuki despised him. That's you. I haven't been told by my elders. It's not because you are usually impulsive. Uncle Fang is worried that you will make mistakes. Hey, what nonsense are you talking about? I don't believe that your Lin family didn't tell you about it. Sister Mo, did you say it? Childish. One or two are naive ghosts. Mo Yanjao despised both of them, and seemed to be higher. As everyone knows, these three people fell into the eyes of Guyao, and they were not much better than the second-year juniors. After joking with them for a while, he and Qi Changjai went back to the room first, and they were still some distance away from Zhangzhou City. The following dangers can be ignored, of course, the cost of the boat is also considerable. When they returned to the room and activated the formation, the two of them could truly avoid the eyes of others. Qi Changjai could not rest assured about the scene when they left the ruins, but he and Guyao both noticed that there was a sense of consciousness watching them. Needless to say, it must be the three heavenly immortal, so I can only act as if nothing happened. Qi Changjai grabbed Guyao's hand. Guyao was staring at this palm before. What's going on? Did that thing get into your body? For a moment, he even wondered if there was a remnant soul who wanted to take the house and create such a valley. He felt that Jingyu Tianxian was not a kind person with a big heart, but a cruel method. So far, they have heard a lot of information about this angel, but they can't tell the truth from the fake. But he quickly rejected the idea, because he knew very well that Guyao's soul had not changed in the slightest. Guyao backhanded Qi Changjai and said, "Brother Ye, come with me." After speaking, the two figures disappeared in the room. At the same time, Black Cat and Mou appeared, watching the situation outside for their master. Qi Changjai came to the space with Guyao, and was shocked to find that not only the space was vast, but also the immortal energy was much richer than when he entered before. He suddenly looked at Guyao. Could that be related to the Pill Pavilion? The change in space can only indicate that the level of the Pill Pavilion has been improved, which makes him more curious about the origin of the Pill Pavilion. It's just that the origin of this Pill Pavilion is so magical. Why didn't the first owner bring it to the fairyland? Yes, you come here to see. Guyao next took Qi Changjai to the top floor of the Pill Pavilion. It turned out that this was their practice space, but as soon as they came in, Qi Changjai saw an unknown booklet floating in the air, and the booklet clearly wrote two words, Danshu. With a wave of Guyao's hand, the elixir floated in front of him. Guyao turned to a page, and on that page, the graphs of various immortal herbs kept flashing. The graphs were very detailed, not only indicating the efficacy of the immortal herb, but also indicating elixir that can be refined using this fairy grass. Guyao said, the function of this elixir is similar to that of the elixir pavilion. There are immortal herbal charts, elixir recipes, and various elixir formulas, which need to be read by spiritual sense, but currently only half of it is until the sky level elixir. And the other half of the pill books after the heaven level, as for the whereabouts, are unknown. Seeing this, I think that when Jingyu Tianxian would be hunted down and eventually died, it is probably related to this pill book, but it seems that Pill Master Rui and the others are not very clear, otherwise it would not be so simple to release today. Let's leave. The things that they thought were unrelated to them, did not expect to fall into their hands in this way. Qi Changjai passed the changes in the space of the pill pavilion, thinking that the pill book and the pill pavilion should be one, otherwise this thing would not just go to Guyao. Flying into his body, it should be attracted by the pill pavilion on Guyao. Thinking of this pill book, the fall of Jingyu Tianxian, and the two suspicious black balls, Qi Changjai couldn't be cautious. It seems that neither the pill pavilion nor the pill book must be revealed, the black ball may be the of vital importance. Thing. Jingyu died and the Shuiyu immortal sect was destroyed. It was precisely in the ruins of Jingyu's fall, and in the ruins of the Shuiyu immortal sect, that a black ball appeared. It is impossible to make people want to connect these things. Guyao nodded, well, be careful in everything. Qi Changjai said again, if all this is as we guessed, then Jiangzhongqing may not be very peaceful in the future. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 598. Guyao understood what Qi Changjai meant. If Danshu and Black Ball were really that important, even if it was tens of thousands of years later, it would have alarmed those who shot Jingyu back then. So even if Alchemist Rui and the others didn't pay attention to Shang Guyao and Qi Changjai, that wave of people might not. Then, they have to prepare well for the next period of time. For a moment, they did not expect that leaving this place will usher in the storm, but when they leave, it will only make them more prominent, and it is better to be quiet. At this time, Su Chen left them and went to Piaoxiu Immortal Palace, which was fine. In the next time, the two hardly left the room. Guyao didn't need to be in the space to read the pill, so Qi Changjai stayed in the space to cultivate and beat his sword qi. The content in the book of pills is very rich, and the amount stored in one page is not necessarily less than that of the first floor of the pill pavilion. Guyao absorbed every minute and second, and quickly made up for the lack of foundation before. When the spaceship arrived at Jiangzhongqing, both of them felt that time passed too fast, but Fang Kaiubai and the three felt that they were about to grow hair on the ship. The wind and rain were unaware. This is caused by information asymmetry. When they returned to their residence, the two were in a semi-closed state. Instead, Fang Kaiubai and Lin Feng and Mo Yanjiao liked to run to them when they had nothing to do. Maybe the monks they met in the past were desperately flattering them and wanted to catch up with the family behind them, but Guyao and the two never took the initiative. It may not be possible to see the last time in a year, and it may even be left behind. The three of them also felt something strange, but they could think of the situation in the starry sky where the two of them dealt with the purple cloud sculpture, and their mounts were also helped by Guyao and the others. Go with your heart, this friend made a deal. After running twice, I found a strange thing, that is, someone was staring at Guyao and Qi Changjai secretly, although the intention was unclear, but it was definitely not kind. Sure enough, it's here again, this time I have to catch them and see what they have been staring at Yao Daiyu for. Mo Yanjiao and the three used the hidden immortal talisman to hide in the dark, watching the two monks in front of them, and of course this description can also be used for them. Look at me, I'm going to kill them. Fang Kaiubai grabbed his sleeves and prepared to rush out to get people. Wait, Lin Feng reminded. The three of us are blocked in one direction, but don't let them run away. 1, 2, 3, act. As soon as Lin Feng finished speaking, the three of them jumped out and surrounded the two people in front of them in a zigzag shape. When the two saw something was wrong, they split up and tried to run away, but they were blocked. After a fight, they all died. Netted. The sound of fighting nearby disturbed Guyao and Qi Changjai in the temporary cave. The two came out and saw that Fang Kaiubai and the three were holding two monks, all looking like they were inviting rewards. Fang Kaiubai shook the person in his hands and shouted, "Brother Yao, Brother Chang, look at the people we have arrested. We found these two staring at you Chong Chong last time, this time let's catch one." "Right. Brother Yao, Brother Chang, do you want to judge where they came from?" Guyao and Qi Changjai looked at each other. They really didn't expect this. After thinking about it, they could only think of one possibility. They let the three people in first, then looked at the two arrested and asked, "Did it come from Donglan City? The Zhang family sent it?" "Donglan City? Zhang family? They all know about Fang Kaiubai, but how did they get involved with Brother Yao and Brother Chang?" To be honest, these three really wanted to make friends with Guyao Qi Changjai, so they didn't investigate the situation of the two behind their backs. "I know that Zhang family, that's right." Fang Kaiubai slammed the other palm with a fist and shouted, "Isn't that Zhang family eldest being chopped up some time ago? If you want me to say, chop it well." "Ah, that guy, anyway, I've been disgusting for a long time." Lin Feng blinked. Of course he also knew about this matter, and now there is another Zhang family staring at Guyao and Qi Changjai. To contact the strength of the two, could it be, he exclaimed, "No, that Zhang family is Yao Yao. Brother Chang, did you kill it?" "Really?" Mo Yanjiao stared at Guyao and Qi Changjai with glowing eyes. Guyao and Qi Changjai looked at each other and smiled. He didn't expect the three of them to have such an attitude. Guyao nodded and said, "Yes, this is something that should be done." The previous trip to the ruins revealed their identities. Presumably these two are also from the Zhang family. "Come out to stare at us. I concealed my identity before, and I am offended. I am Guyao, and this is my Taoist companion Qi Changjai." "Guyao, Yao Gu, Qi Changjai, Chang Ye, haha, you really know how to play, haha." Fang Kaiubai laughed, not feeling unhappy because Guyao and the others used fake identities before, and felt that the pseudonyms used by the two of them were a little too careless. But there is a situation called dark under the lights, who would think so when nothing happened? Having said that, it will be much easier for everyone to get along with each other. As for the two caught guys, after finding out that they are really sent by the Zhang family, of course they will not let them leave mercilessly, only to disappear completely. Although Mo Yanjiao is the eldest miss of the Mo family, she can often be ranked with Fang Kaiubai and Lin Feng in Zhangzhongcheng. In fact, she is a who is similar to them, but there are not many eldest ladies who are squeamish, and more often carefree. Now look directly at Guyao and Qi Changjai with adoring eyes. At the beginning, the three of us actually went to Donglan City to make a scene, but we came back in despair. Although the overall strength of Donglan City is slightly worse than our Zhangzhong City, those families are deeply rooted in Donglan City. Well, it's not that we can't beat them, but there's no need to hurt the other side. Of course, they can only hide in Donglan City, and when they arrive in our Zhangzhong City, they have to act according to our rules. So you are two of the three ascension cultivators wanted by the Zhang family in Donglan City? The other one is the fellow Daoist I met that day, right? Lin Feng guessed. Although they were in the ruins along with the family, they also saw that there was a cultivator beside Guyao and Qi Changjai. Yeah, the ascended monks in Donglan City are not easy to get along with, so we came to Zhangzhong City, Guyao said half-truth. That's right, it's right to come to our Jiangzhongchenj. Isn't this immortal world everyone eats according to their ability? If they don't have the ability, they give way. What's the difference between local monks and monks? It's not easy for me to say that it's not easy to ascend to monks. Listen. It is said that some people have to practice for thousands of years or even tens of thousands of years before they can get the chance to soar. Fang Bai said with a grin. Lin Tzu became clear-headed. In the final analysis, it's still a battle for resources. To compete for resources, of course, you have to form factions. Nothing is easier than local monks and ascended monks. Guyao and Qi Chengjai felt quite reasonable after hearing this. This faction was also divided artificially. They were ascension cultivators. The monks were prejudiced. As for fairness and injustice, there is no end to the calculations. Ordinary people who were born in the Tianlin continent and were unable to practice cultivation seemed more qualified to be called unfair. Because of the relationship between Fang Bai and the three, Guyao and Qi Chengjai gradually entered the eyes of some forces and clan children in Zhangzhou city, especially those cultivators who wanted to get close to these three people. They found that they could easily do it. And envy and jealousy. In addition to cultivating, Guyao and Qi Chengjai will also follow them around in Zhangzhou city. Some places are difficult for non-indigenous people to know. For example, Zhangzhou city has a secret realm that is regularly open to the outside world. Guyao and Qi Chengjai never knew that the city's cultivators, as long as they pay a sum of immortal stones, they can enter the calendar, which happens to be in the open period at this time. The number of immortal stones is of course not small. It is used to maintain the operation of the secret realm. Almost half of the cultivator's harvest after entering the secret realm cannot be recovered from the cost of this immortal stone, but some monks will encounter the opportunity to make a fortune in it. Even after coming out of it, the cultivation base has made a lot of progress, so for this point, there will still be a steady stream of monks willing to pay this immortal stone to enter it. Guyao and Qi Chengjai also went in and went around after learning about it. From the outsider's point of view, he and Qi Chengjai didn't even earn back the cost of entry. In fact, how much gain there was, only Guyao and Qi Chengjai knew. Guyao's current space has always lacked the source of immortal grass. This time, he made up for it in the small secret realm. For other monks, those immortal grasses that have not yet grown are of no value. Who would dig it out and bring it out? But the two of them stroked it as long as there was a place to grow fairy grass. Now the space is full of immortal energy, and the immortal grass transplanted in is growing very fast with the help of Zi Bao Bao. Guyao finally breathed a sigh of relief. The most worrying immortal grass resource can finally be solved for most of it. He wanted to reveal the truth to Mo Yanjiao, who had not let go of his investigation of the elixir master, but thinking about the situation he might face next, he could only continue to hide it. However, because he had revealed his identity as an elixir master in Donglan City, he would occasionally practice it now. Some medicinal pills were taken out to exchange for immortal stones, but the grades of those immortal pills were not too high. Snow Fairy Palace. When Danchi Miao returned to Piaoxiu Immortal Palace, he was called by Piaoxiu Immortal Lord, and asked carefully about the situation of the ruins and whether there was any gain in the ruins. Master Hedan smiled bitterly. To tell the truth, the two city lords and I have tossed for nothing. Jingyu Tianxian's temperament is really weird. His subordinates do not understand what his purpose is to create such a ruin. Until the end, only one thing flew away in front of the three of us, but we searched the starry sky, and we found no trace of that thing. Piaoxiu Xianjun, who lives up to her name, is a fairy with a cold and refined temperament. She is so high that no one dares to blaspheme. Her cold voice came out, "What is it?" The two alchemists thought about it and described it to Immortal Piaoxiu. "It's like an iron ticket, but none of the three of us can capture it." Immortal Piaoxiu's eyes lit up, and he whispered, "It really is that thing." Alchemist Rui was surprised. Could it be that Immortal Piaoxiu knew about this? What secret is this Jingyu Shengxian hiding? He thought he knew a lot about this angel who fell thousands of years ago, but it seemed to be very limited. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 599. Master Rui flew out from the palace group suspended in the air, and greeted the cultivators he knew from time to time along the way. Master Rui was very popular in Piaoxiu Immortal Palace. This time he came back as an immortal and received congratulations from many friends. The gift is received softly. When he returned to his cave, after thinking about it all the way, Alchemist Rui was finally able to confirm one thing, that is the matter behind Jingyu Tianxian. It is very likely that he could not get involved in the early days of Tianxian, because tens of thousands of years ago, Jingyu Tianxian couldn't hide. Now it seems that it may be a blessing that the treasure was lost to him. He, who was quite regretful at first, finally let it go. Alchemy Master Rui, someone asked to see him. The 4 alchemists brought back by the 2 alchemists have already been arranged, but the registered name of one of them is somewhat different. The 2 alchemists returned to their senses. Oh! Show me. The visitor handed the list to Alchemist Rui. Alchemist Rui used his divine sense to probe, and couldn't help laughing. Chen Su Chen, didn't it make it clear that he was the same person, and this person did not hide his origins? It was written that it was Ascending Cultivator. Master He Dan thought of the situation in Donglan City, and guessed why it was like this. It doesn't matter, just register like this and see if they can stand out from the pill hall by themselves. Yes, Master Rui Dan. There are Dan halls in Donglan City and Zhangzhou City. There is a special Dan hall in Piaoxiu Immortal Palace. The scale and grade are naturally comparable to those of Dan halls. When traveling, pick up a few good Dan shu seedlings to bring back and throw them into the Dan hall. It's a common thing to learn from inside, which is equivalent to giving them a platform, but the final result depends on each person's efforts. In addition, the Pill Palace and other halls with different functions will regularly select talented monks from the cities and forces that are attached to the Piaoxiu Immortal Palace, so as to maintain the operation of the entire Piaoxiu Immortal Palace and the entire organization. The core of it is the suspended palace group located on this piece of land. In this palace group, just after Dan Master Rui left, a figure appeared out of thin air in the main hall of Piaoxiu Xianjun, asking, "Piaoxiu, do you believe what he said? It should be that thing, right? Really, can it run away from under the eyes of 3 angels? Besides, even if it runs, how far can that thing run?" Immortal Piaoxiu was not surprised by this man's sudden appearance. He seemed to have known his existence and said, "I believe him, unless the 3 of them deceive this immortal before Master Hedon came back." Zotong, the specific situation over there has been reported. If Immortal Liu Yun doesn't believe my subordinates, you can find it yourself. The man is extremely handsome, but in front of Immortal Piaoxiu, who is icy and jade-boned, he does not have an advantage. Hearing Immortal Piaoxiu defending his subordinates, he laughed loudly. "Piaoxiu, don't get angry, Ben Immortal. That's what I said. I didn't expect that this guy Jingyu has been dead for so many years, and he still has this hand, just to disturb you here, Piaoxiu." Immortal Piaoxiu said coldly, "If you can't beat me, you naturally dare not make a big deal in this immortal lord's immortal realm. If you can beat me, how many in this immortal realm can stop?" So Piaoxiu doesn't plan to intervene. Liu Yun Xianjundian said differently, "Maybe there is a chance to be promoted to Immortal Emperor. Do you want to let go of this opportunity, Piaoxiu? You know that Yu Heng has already walked in front of us. Now, I think back then, Ben Xianjun could kill him with just one finger." Immortal Piaoxiu's eyes became colder and colder. "Don't provoke me, why should this immortal do things?" Okay, then I won't say anything about Xianjun. Leave, and see Piaoxiu next time, haha. The laughter still echoed in the main hall, and the people of Liu Yun Xianjun had disappeared. Immortal Piaoxiu frowned slightly. At her stage, who doesn't want to go further, especially Yu Heng's promotion to Immortal Emperor, which caused a lot of waves among these immortals. Piaoxiu asks herself that she is no better than Yu Heng's talent poor, but behind him in the step. Between Immortal Monarch Peak and Immortal Emperor, it seems that there is only one step away, but how many Immortal Monarchs stop on this threshold, just can't open the door. One moment, Immortal Lu Yun was still in Piaoxiu Immortal Palace, but the next moment he appeared in the starry sky where the Jingyu ruins were located. He stood tall and looked down at the starry sky full of extremely dangerous storm clouds below with a blank expression, and suddenly sneered, because when he had dealt with Jingyu, he never put this cultivator in the sky in his eyes. He didn't expect that in the time he turned around, he would become an immortal walking in front of him, which made him face it, and was very unwilling. But what if he was not as good as Jingyu back then? Are there still few geniuses swallowed up by this fairyland? The one who survives to the end like him is the winner, and Jingyu is the one who loses. No matter how amazing he was back then, it was just like the gorgeous fireworks, which were fleeting. Immortal Lu Yun waved his sleeves and flicked, like a big rag, smoothing the messy starry sky. The storm stopped, the sea of clouds dissipated, this starry sky full of deadly danger was as calm as a lake in an instant, and then Liu Yunxianjun pinched out a series of immortal tactics. If there is a fellow here, you will recognize it, this is a retrospective. With the immortal decision, the scene in front of Immortal Lu Yun changed. It was like replaying the experience before this starry sky, and finally fixed at the moment when the relic space collapsed. Lu Yun stared at it. In that instant, the space collapsed into pieces, and was swallowed by the black hole continuously. 3 heavenly immortals flew out from it, exactly as what Immortal Piaoxiu said, and he saw a black light flying out at a faster speed. That's it? On the verge of space collapse, dozens of cultivators were desperately flying out, and these cultivators were too vulnerable in Lu Yun's eyes. Will that black light fall on one of these monks? Lu Yun knew that the next critical moment was coming, but at this moment, the whole picture shook violently. Lu Yun was furious, and increased his control. However, the picture finally turned into a vortex and turned into chaos. Things can never be repeated. This time, he failed to capture the key scene. Next time, he will not be able to use the retrospective method to recover the previous scene. Lu Yun raised his eyes and looked. Who is behind the deeds of this immortal lord? A monk with ordinary clothes and an extremely ordinary appearance walked out of the void step by step with his hands behind his back, but no matter how ordinary his appearance was, he couldn't hide the domineering he showed. It was made by Immortal Emperor, and Immortal Lord Liu Yun wanted to take it. How is this Immortal Emperor? Lu Yun gasped and cried out, Yu Heng. Why are you here? How did you come? The visitor sneered, is it possible that Immortal Liu Yun's memory has deteriorated? Don't you know that I had a relationship with Jingyu in the early years? The ruins of the time of Jingyu's fall are now in the world. Why didn't this Immortal Emperor come here in person? An old friend for a ride. Immortal Lu Yun's complexion changed and changed again and again. After tens of thousands of years, who still remembers the relationship between this person and Jingyu at that time? Is it really like what Yu Heng said, or he used his identity as a cultivator? Looking for an excuse. At this time, another person walked out behind Immortal Emperor Yu Heng, and Immortal Lord Liu Yun changed his face again, Master Miadan. Although they are both immortals, the person who came here is not as good as Lu Yun, so he politely bowed to Immortal Lu Yun and said, Mei is insignificant. I didn't expect Immortal Lu Yun to remember Mei. The Immortal Emperor gave a respectful salute, which was much larger than that given to Immortal Lord Liu Yun. This fell in the eyes of Immortal Lord Liu Yun, reminding him that his status is much lower than Immortal Emperor Yu Heng, and also reminding him that an immortal monarch met Immortal Emperor, but he was not polite. Immortal Lord Liu Yun was about to laugh in anger, and casually bowed his hands to Immortal Emperor Yu Heng, saying, Farewell. After saying that, Immortal Lu Yun flashed. In this starry sky, there were only Immortal Emperor Yu Heng and Master Mei Dan. Yu Heng looked at the direction in which Immortal Lu Yun disappeared, and sneered again. He didn't understand Lu Yun. Xianjun's heart knot is that he is not angry that he has become an Immortal Emperor, and he is still in the stage of Immortal Emperor and does not know how to cross this threshold, and he is afraid that he will stop him. Immortal Emperor, what did Lu Yun discover? Pill Master Mei asked as he stood beside Yu Heng. Yu Heng smiled and said, "Don't worry, I can't find anything with his cultivation after he intervened, unless he can find an Immortal Emperor whose cultivation is higher than mine. Of course other Immortal Emperors can intervene. Since come, don't you want to meet them?" Master Mei Dan also smiled, "No need, it's fine now, it will come when we meet. Then let's go." One Immortal Emperor and one Immortal Monarch also disappeared in this starry sky. Guyao, who was sitting in the yard with Qi Changjai, looked at the distant starry sky with emotion, but he couldn't grasp what he wanted to grasp. "What's up?" Guyao shook his head. "It seems that someone or something related to us has appeared, but I can't say it." The Donglan City spaceship docked at the port, and two monks walked down together, looking at the noisy crowd ahead, comparing with a thin immortal energy. Bigo said, "The environment here is too bad. Wenfan and Genyan came so far away, and they lost their lives. It's really ridiculous." Jianyang smiled, "It's my fault that the two of them are too greedy, and they haven't let go of the following things for so many years after they came back, but the progress of fellow Daoist Gu and Daoist Qi is surprising. They were all immortals at the beginning, and they caught up so quickly. I don't know when it will surpass us." Bigo said, "It can't be said that way. In terms of cultivation years, they are much longer than us. After they come to the fairyland, they can be regarded as the aftermath. But if you want to go up, it is not that simple." Jianyang said, "It's not easy for us. We were worried that Pill Master Mei would be in trouble, but we didn't expect that Immortal Yu Heng would be promoted to Immortal Emperor in a blink of an eye. The trouble is gone." The two also admired their decision to stand on the side of Guyao and Qi Changjai to stop Wenfan and the others from attacking these two. They knew that at that time, as far as they knew, Donji Mei was still in the vortex. Everything is different now. The two merged into the crowd and disappeared in a blink of an eye. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 600. Ding Ling watched the two monks go away, until he couldn't see them. Only then did he realize that the back of his vest was soaked with sweat. He wiped away a sweat. He didn't expect that after such a long time, someone would come to him to ask about the Ascension Cultivator, and asked Guyao and Qi Changjai what their cultivation realms were when they first ascended. He still bites to death. It was the middle stage of human beings and immortals, but he suspected that he was seen through by the two cultivators just now. Fortunately, the two were different from Wenfan and Genyan. They left after getting the answer, and they didn't embarrass him. Ding Ling smiled bitterly. When he helped the two cultivators to hide it, how could he have thought of the current situation? The talents of these two people were far beyond their expectations, and what happened was even more surprising to him. Fortunately, he had been in seclusion and practiced almost. If he didn't go out, everyone would forget him, the one guarding the Ascension Pool. He had heard people say that he had seen them in Zhangzhou City before, and he even went to the ruins. Compared with his own fear, Ding Ling had to admit that people are different from each other. Bigo looked back and said, "This man is dishonest, but I didn't expect him to help Alchemist Gu and Daiochi to hide it so tightly. The conflict between the Ascension monks and the local monks here is not very big." "What?" Jianyang said, "Maybe it's because of their potential, just like you and me." Bigo burst into laughter and said, "You're not curious, what kind of cultivation were they when they first ascended?" Jianyang laughed, "Friend Qi broke through and advanced in just 50 years. The cultivation base is not much worse than the peak of the Immortal, and the forces here are actually fooled by the guy who guards the ascension pool, and no one knows the truth. Bigo also shook his head. The forces here only see 3 points in front of us, and they are replaced by our Chankaman. Such monks will be recruited by the sect as soon as they ascend. Compared with other forces, our Chankaman will be recruited in by the section doors still have an advantage. There is also an ascension pool where Chankaman meets other forces. Several forces take turns to send people to guard them. Once they find a good seedling, they will immediately join their forces. Therefore, when they learn about the situation here, Bigo and Jianyang also I don't know if Guyao and Chi Changjai are lucky or not. It's hard to say, but they can rise in adversity. Let's go to Jiangzhongqing and meet our old friends. Presumably the ancient alchemist's alchemy skills will not be too much worse than the time in the lower realm. After the two of them learned about the situation, they excitedly boarded the spaceship and headed to Jiangzhongqing. Fang Kaiubai and the three made an appointment to find Guyao and Chi Changjai together, and when they saw them, they said, "Do you know that some strange things have happened during this time, and some monks have disappeared for no apparent reason? They all have one thing in common, that is, they came out of the ruins together." Guyao and Chi Changjai's faces sank at the same time. Fang Kaiubai's tone was quite light just now. Seeing that this posture was wrong, he was busy trying to explain, but Lin Feng stopped him. "Don't do a disservice. Have you forgotten that Brother Chi and Brother Gu are also from those who came out of the ruins can find others, as well as Brother Chi and Brother Gu?" Fang Kaiubai slapped the table. "Brother Chi might as well live in the courtyard of our Fang's house. Let me see who dares to do it." Guyao and Chi Changjai glanced at Fang Kaiubai helplessly. Is this person speaking out of his mind? We understand Brother Fang's kindness. If the other party really wants to do something, we won't just grab it. If the difference in strength is too great, it's useless to do anything. Compared with these aristocratic families, the news of Guyao and Chi Changjai is far behind. Even if they go to restaurants to collect information intentionally or unintentionally, it is the first time they have heard of these situations. Before they knew it, someone had already rushed. These monks took action. In this way, it will be sooner or later to find them, but many monks knew that they were the last to come out. What Fang Kaiubai had to say was stopped by Lin Feng. It could be seen that Guyao and Chi Changjai were both very proud people. Living in the Fang family's guest house was equivalent to being attached to the Fang family and accepting the Fang family's advice. Shelter, which is difficult for some monks to accept. Guyao knew that Fang Kaiubai was worried that they would say this, and laughed loudly. "The big deal is the same as the last time in Donglan City. Let's go to the starry sky again. This is the next best thing. If you can't do it, just run away. The environment in the starry sky is too complicated. If you use it well, it will be a way of life for them. Forget it, we will pay attention to the situation outside and notify you in time if there is any news. Besides, the city lord's mansion will not allow these monks to do whatever they want." Lin Feng said that their source of information was the city lord's mansion. If it arouses vigilance, and only after an investigation finds out that it is not one or two incidents, then the intention is very obvious. "Thank you." The three of Fang Kaiubai said goodbye and left, but when they came out, they found two monks standing outside. Fang Kaiubai jumped up and shouted, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" They thought it was someone from the Zhang family in Donglan City or some other family. Bigo and Jianyang's faces turned dark. Ghosts and ghosts. They are clearly upright. Okay. They are too lazy to care about this reckless guy. The two of them shouted into the cave in unison, "Master Gu, Daiochi, we parted many years ago, how are you two recently?" Lin Feng and Mo Yanjao blinked. "Know each other?" To be honest, Fang Kaiubai's mouth was so fast that he didn't have time to stop him, and Lin Feng didn't sense the meaning of ghosts and ghosts from the two of them. Guyao and Chi Changjai were stunned for a moment. The voice was a bit familiar. they let go of their senses and looked. They really knew each other. It was too unexpected for these two to appear here. The two hurriedly walked out of the yard and made a surprise statement. It turned out to be Yaoi and Daoist Jian. I don't know if you are not guilty. The two Daoists please come in. Brother Lin, Brother Fang, and sister of the Mo family, these are friends we met before. Guyao was curious again. How do you know that we are here, and we are here? Bigo pointed at Fang Kaiubai and the three of them and smiled. Thanks to Mr. Fang and the others for leading the way. Who doesn't know how close you are to the three of them in Zhangzhou City, and they should be able to find you when we find them. We tried it and sure enough. Fang Kaiubai gritted his teeth, feeling that they were leading the way. When did you target them? What if the enemy comes? Lin Feng gave Fang Kaiubai and Mo Yanjiao a wink, and said goodbye to Guyao and the others. It could be seen that Guyao and Qi Changjai were very familiar with each other, and from the bearing of these two people, it was obvious that they had extraordinary origins. When Fang Kaiubai was dragged away by Lin Feng and Mo Yanjiao, he glared at Bigo and Jianyang several times. Jianyang laughed. I didn't expect the Fang family's son to be so genuine. They knew that the Fang family's son was a wonderful person just when they inquired about the news in Zhangzhou. Guyao and Qi Changjai asked them to sit down. The two of them could find them accurately when they found them. It was beyond their expectations. Thinking about the separation of the spiritual world, they would never have imagined the current scene. At that time, Bigo and Jianyang were superior to them, but in the blink of an eye, Bigo and Jianyang were in the middle stage of Earth Immortal, and Qi Changjai and Guyao were not too far away from them. In the past, I had to be called an envoy or a senior, but now they are equal fellow deists. Bigo and Jianyang talked about the experience they had searched all the way, talking about Ding Ling from Donglin City. Guyao and Qi Changjai also remembered this person, but they didn't have the chance to go back to Donglin City, otherwise they would have to thank him. Ding Ling was able to keep the original secret until now, which is really rare. Even if they betrayed them, Guyao and Qi Changjai couldn't blame them. Because of their friendship with Fang Kaiubai and the others, their understanding of the fairy world is no longer as shallow as in the past. The realm where Chanqi Xianmen and Kixing Xianzong are located is called Xianhua Xianyu, and only the side in charge of the emperor can be called Xianhuan Xianyu. To reach the immortal territory, the area covered by the Piaoxiu Immortal Palace cannot reach this level, but belongs to the Emperor Yu Immortal Territory. From these superficial conditions alone, it can be seen how much time it takes to get from Chanqi Xianmen to Zhangzhou City. Time is of secondary importance, and there are various dangers that will be faced in the starry sky. Therefore, Guyao and Qi Changjai confront each other. Bigo and Jianyang are very curious. Not to mention that the two of them came to visit them specifically. Guyao and Qi Changjai were not so arrogant that they had such great value, so Bigo and Jianyang made a special trip. Could it be that they also came for Jingyu Tianxian's elixir book? Come. Guyao and Qi Changjai were observing each other. Bigo and Jianyang were also observing them since they first met. Although they knew that they had been promoted to Earth Immortals, they were still shocked after seeing their faces, because they could tell from Qi Changjai's breath. The immortal energy is very strong, and it is not far from the middle stage of the promotion to the Earth Immortal. Even Guyao's cultivation base is also very solid. I heard that you also went to the ruins of Jingyu Tianxian. Qi Changjai looked at the two with a half smile, and Bigo surrendered. Well, we know that the timing of our appearance is not right, so I can tell you the truth, there are quite a few monks coming for Jingyu Tianxian this time. People, they are just soldiers sent out by the sect to be trained, and I didn't expect us to be of any use, but only after we arrived did I find out that the two of you were also involved in the ruins. Qi Changjai said, Fang Daiyu told us about this just now. There are already no monks who came out of the ruins. So, what is there in the ruins that makes the outside forces so exciting? To be honest, from that day, the high-level Pegasus exploded, and at the end, the trail space collapsed. It was only a short time in the middle. Even the monks who went in didn't know what was hidden in the ruins. Is also like this. You can imagine that Jingyu Tianxian will lay out such ruins before his death, and use star beasts to make suicide sacrifices, just to resurrect that Pegasus and enhance its strength. The meaning of cultivating that Pegasus is only one: is the killing in the ruins. It can be seen that Jingyu Tianxian is full of malice towards the monks who enter the ruins. Xiaoyao and I are also lucky, and we have not been hit by the frontal impact, otherwise it will be a problem if we can come out intact. Bigo and Jianyang gasped.